Hi, and welcome to today's session on how to get the most value from your existing software systems. I'm JP Lassard. Be sure to check out the other videos in our series, including myself and my colleague, John Horner. Today, we're going to talk about improving your current software, specifically through business process automation. Now, if you haven't already, please check out the video on business process improvement, because when you go in to automate things, you want to be sure you've already got consistent and streamlined processes in place. So technology is an accelerator, especially automation. So if you've got a good process, that can accelerate you upwards. If you've got a clunky process and it's already got some problems, then you want to improve it first, because otherwise technology will accelerate it right down. You don't want that. So this is when you've got consistent, streamlined processes already. Now let's automate. So why would you automate? What's the value of automating processes? So let's compare. For automation, it's going to run and scale very quickly. So that means that for human beings, it's going to take a human as long as it takes a human to do it. For an automated process, it's a computer, you give it the rules to follow and it can do it very quickly. For human beings, it scales slowly. So if you increase volume and I need to do more of something, well, I need to train more people to do that. There's only so much a human being can do as you grow. So it scales slowly. For automation, it's going to scale very quickly. Check out the performance improvement video for tips on that. Also, automation will create consistency. If you need consistency in this process, then it's important to automate it. Human beings are prone to human error. It's just the way it is. Even if it's a small percentage, there's going to be some human error that creeps in there. So if you need it to be very consistent, you need it to run and scale very quickly, then that's a good value proposition for why would you automate. So I created this grid to help you figure out which processes should be automated. So what to automate here. And I would say take a process that you're running and run it through this quick test to decide if this is something that I still need to be a manual process and I need humans involved in, or can I automate this? And I put AI in parentheses there. Artificial intelligence is a whole nother discussion for another day. But this is automation is a form of artificial intelligence. It's following specific rules. So for human beings, you can give them loose guidelines and they'll adapt. They'll figure things out along the way given the loose guidelines. For an automated process, it's got to follow a list of very explicit rules. You have to clearly define what it's going to do and then it'll follow those to the T. Humans, you can give them a few examples of something. For an automated process, you got to be sure that it fits across a large scale. So when you hear big data or high volume of things, you want to be sure that it handles all of those things because I'm writing rules to handle all of this. For humans, again, they can adapt and they only need a few examples. For humans, it can only do one thing at a time. We don't actually multitask well, even though people use that term. The human brain doesn't work that way. So you can do one thing at a time very quickly, but for an automated process, it can multitask. You throw these things at a computer and resources, and it'll do lots of processes at the same time for you. Human and manual processes, also very good at handling unique situations. So automated processes and AI, not so good at handling unique situations. So this is probably the biggest differentiator, that if you've got a lot of unique situations in a process, you might not want to automate it, okay? Now there is a way to get some of the benefits of automation even in that case. So if some of the things you say, well, most of the time it falls into that right side of the bucket, but some of the time it doesn't, well, you can follow the 80-20 rule as I used before. So in this case, 80-20 rule, or it could be 90-10, means that most of the time it can follow a very specific set of rules, right? So 80% of the time or 90% of the time, it is going to fall into these specific rules. Well, then I can automate that. I can set up a job that says, okay, does it fit these parameters? If so, follow these rules. And then anything else, spit it out the other side and put it into a review queue or some place that a human being can go and process that 10 or 20%. So now what you've done is you've taken a huge part of the workload and you've put it into an automated process and you've kept only 10 to 20% of it that a human being has to be involved in. So that's what I call the semi-automation part of the process. Now, once you know what it is that you're going to automate, how do you go about it? Number one, write down the rules for that business process. What do you want to happen? What do you expect the rules for it to follow? And what do you want the outcome to be? Then work with your software team to convert your business logic into code in the system that it can actually run through and automate. And then you decide one of two things. Do I want to schedule this? Is it a big batch of things that it's going to run? It could run in the middle of the night. It could run any time throughout the day as a scheduled job once I've got it in code. Or I can add it to an inline process. So let's say every time a customer approves an order, I want it to do these 10 things automatically. That's now part of an inline process. So every time this happens, then do all these other things. So those are your two choices as far as how to automate. So think about that. Now that you know about this, I would highly encourage you, go out, automate something, set it and forget it, and get you and your people focusing on the things that the human brain really needs to focus on the most. Until next time, I'm JP Lassard. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or if there's any way that we can help, and I look forward to talking to you again.